The best new patient generator in decades is virtual reality for dental patients. Opera VR, completely transforming the patient experience, truly gives people a remarkable experience. We can completely transform the patient's awareness, transport them outside of the operatory. Go to operavr.operadds.com. Welcome to the Operatory, the podcast about burying the dinosaurs in dentistry, moving past outdated technology and procedures to find a better way. With me today, as always, is the patient perspective, my man, David Pryor, who's doing a very funny dance. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You're the one that picked this music. It's not me. So
I know.
You suffer the consequences.
I get to enjoy. Oh, it's cranked up now. Wow. Thank you. Yes, no, it is a funky little ditty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I like it. Well, my man, today you are going to be able to provide a good perspective, not just as a patient, as you always do, but also as a technology person, as you often do, because we both love technology and we work in technology, delivering technology to dentists, right?
Yes, we do.
And I had a revelation a couple years ago. Because it took me a while. But when I started working on what's now Opera DDS and talking to dentists about it, and they started using it, I really kind of fell in love with the SaaS-based concept, software as a service.
Sure.
At the time, a lot of things were shifting from like QuickBooks that you buy and update, and it was always a PIA, to QuickBooks Online and switching from Microsoft Word to Google Docs and all of the online stuff, and the whole concept of something that's a recurring revenue, where it's like you pay for it monthly and comes back, and then I modeled Opera DDS to be a SaaS-based business, and I thought it was really interesting. Then the more I learned about it, the more interested I got in it, and then I started looking at how to run a SaaS-based business. And as I went down that path, it took me a few years, but then I realized dentistry is actually a lot like a SaaS-based business.
How so?
Well, because you have patients that come back every 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? They have their cleaning done. They might have additional procedures done. But the actual delivery of dentistry, if you look at it from a macro perspective, it's very similar to a SaaS-based business. Does that make sense?
You've got a recurring revenue stream that you're going to realize in dentistry as well as a SaaS-based business. So yeah, I get it from that perspective.
Well, and it's the here's where I'm going with that is if you look at the metrics that a dental practice looks at to evaluate their business, and then you look at the metrics that a SaaS-based business should look at, they're analogous. There's different words, but they're the same.
Right.
You can say like, how cost of acquiring a new patient versus the customer acquisition cost, lifetime value of a patient, or how long is a patient typically with you versus lifetime value of a customer, and it was kind of a revelation for me as somebody that was running both a dental practice and a SaaS-based business that I thought were vastly different. I think that's kind of the perspective that I was coming from. I'm like, boy, this business is I need to study SaaS-based businesses because I know nothing about them. Does that make sense? And the more I learned about it, after a while, I was like, wait a minute, these are actually similar business models.
Yeah, they're both clientele-based. So you've got, it's a service. They're both services.
100%.
And so, as long as you're providing a good service, you're going to keep that customer. And whether it's a customer or whether it's a patient. And so in your SaaS-based, your software as a service, I think you will continue to grow that business as long as you provide a good service. And it's the same for dentistry. And, you've said a million times, one of the great keys to your success is don't hurt people.
Yes. Well, and one of the keys to my success, I think where I was headed with this, is one of the keys to my success was learning about SaaS-based businesses and what makes them successful, and taking that and applying it to dentistry.
Sure.
Does that make just like you're talking about, right? Yep. Because it's not very different. It's very similar. Yep. And we've talked before about dental consultants and stuff. If you listen to SaaS-based business consultants and applied them to dentistry, holy man, right?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Sure.
Right? The taking care of customers, taking care of patients, and making. I mean, that's what it's all about. And looking at the metrics that a SaaS-based business would look at
Yep.
for your practice. That was kind of the revelation that I had that I wanted to share with you, with the audience, that I had a couple of years ago, and going, you know what? I mean, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because I thought I was going down this totally different path,
Right.
totally different business.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's like, oh, I'm scared. I have no idea what. So I studied it. And then like after I studied it more, and then I looked at my dental practice, I was like, holy man, these are actually the same. And I can all the knowledge I've learned here, I can apply there, and vice versa. And it's interesting. I think because in dentistry, we think that it's such a unique model, such a unique industry that you need to listen to only dental consultants. And I think you're missing out if you do that.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. That there's a lot of crossover, and we've talked about this here a million times, that there's a lot of areas where dentistry is lacking in business acumen, where you can go out to other industries and find the information that you're looking for, and will absolutely apply. So, software as a service is similar to dentistry as a service. They're service industries. You're serving a customer or a patient. It's the same.
Yeah, and I think you say it like it's evident. I think it's not evident, right?
I don't think it's evident.
Okay.
I don't think it's evident in dentistry, but I think it's for me, looking at it from the outside, having been in multiple different types of industries, always technology based, but I've been in a bunch of different types of industries, and it often appears the same once you distill it down to what it is, which is providing a service that the customer is going to love.
Yeah, and likewise, to grow your practice, if there's an area of your practice that's weak, if you look at dental industry as a whole, the whole industry may be weak in an area, right? Mm-hmm. We see that all of the time, and looking outside of dentistry to sort of fill that void in your practice may be the best way to go, because there's a lot of things in dentistry where it's just not done like the rest of the world, the way the rest of the world operates. And there's many, many, many aspects to any industry, but particularly to dentistry, I think, where we become very myopic and focused on what we do, so much so that I didn't even realize that the two businesses I was running had a lot more commonalities and differences, right? And I was looking at me personally running both of them, looked at them as completely different businesses for years, until it kind of smacked me in front of the head. Hey, man, you can actually take what you're from one and apply it to the other, and vice versa, right? I mean, it's not 100%, but it's 95%, right?
Yeah.
So now we've defined a new term today on the podcast, DaaS.
Yes.
Dentistry as a service.
You're welcome, Brian.
What's the opposite of dentistry as a service?
I don't know.
Dumb. Well, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure, as always, doing the podcast with you.
Yeah, you too, Brian. Have a great one.
I also want to remind you to rate and review us wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you have suggestions or comments, please visit theoperatory.com and drop us a line. Again, I'm Dr. Brian Laskin, host of The Operatory. Thanks for listening. I look forward to speaking with you next week.